Welcome back to Lawfully Loud, where truth is louder than tyranny. I'm Sophia Etienne. I'm not a lawyer, I'm a mother who was forced to learn the law when no one else would show up for me. I didn't study the Constitution because I wanted to argue in court. I studied it because one day they came to take my child, and nobody told me why. Nobody told me when the hearing was. Nobody gave me a chance to speak. And I found myself crushed by a system I didn't even know I was in. Until I found the words that changed everything: due process. In the last episode, we talked about what due process means. It's the law that says they can't take your life, liberty, or property without proper steps. But today we go deeper because there are two pillars that hold due process up. And they are everything if you've ever had to fight for your child, your housing, your rights, your voice. One is procedural, it's about the steps. The other is substantive, it's about your soul. If you've ever been ignored, erased, or punished without being heard, you need both. And after today, you'll never walk into a courtroom, school, hospital, or office the same again. And if you want to follow along while we dig in, download the free due process checklist at publiccryout.net bookstore. That's publiccryout.net/bookstore. It's your lifeline. Don't leave it on the table. Let's start with procedural due process. It's the most basic legal promise. You have the right to notice before the government acts. You have the right to a hearing where you get to speak. And you have the right to a real opportunity to defend yourself. That's it. That's the foundation. If someone's trying to evict you, they have to notify you in writing, schedule a hearing, and let you respond. If someone's trying to take your child, they can't do it behind closed doors. They have to give you a date, a reason, and the chance to fight back. Procedural due process is supposed to protect you from being blindsided. But how often does that actually happen? How often are families broken without a warning? How often are tenants locked out before they even knew a case existed? How many people show up to court only to find the decision was already made? You see the pattern. They skip the steps all the time, especially if you're poor, if you're black, if you're a single parent, if you're not connected. If you want to understand this in simple everyday terms, read the Know Your Rights mini guide. It's clear, it's human, and it's available now at publiccryout.net bookstore. Again, that's publiccryout.net/bookstore. Now, let me tell you how procedural due process really gets violated. I've seen mothers lose their babies without ever stepping into a courtroom. I've seen whole families locked out of apartments while they were still at work. No hearing, no paperwork. I've watched young men sit in jail for days, never told what they were being charged with, never given a phone call. That's not justice. That's abuse of power. And it happens because they think you won't fight. But the moment you say, "Where's my notice? Where's my hearing? Where's the process?" they know they've been seen. This system isn't broken. It's been built this way. But you weren't built to break. You were built to rise. If you're in the thick of this right now, facing eviction, custody court, or a criminal charge, don't go in unarmed. Go to publiccryout.net bookstore and get the Due Process Survival Series. This is the series I wish someone handed me when my world was collapsing. It's direct, it's fierce, it's mother tested. It's publiccryout.net/bookstore. Go now. Let's move into the second pillar, substantive due process. This one isn't about steps, it's about your liberty. It says, even if the government follows procedure, there are some rights so deep, so sacred, that no government has the authority to take them. These include your right to raise your child, your right to decide your medical care, your right to love who you love, your right to believe or not believe without being punished. These rights live in your body, in your soul, in your spirit. Substantive due process was behind some of the most important Supreme Court decisions in history. Roe v. Wade, the right to bodily autonomy. Loving v. Virginia, the right to interracial marriage. Obergefell v. Hodges, the right to same-sex marriage. But you don't have to be in a Supreme Court case for these rights to matter. They matter in the doctor's office. They matter when CPS shows up. They matter when someone says, you don't get a say because we already decided. They don't get to decide. Not without a fight. If you want to understand these deeper rights and the cases behind them, read the Due Process Decoded ebook. It's free to read at publiccryout.net bookstore. That's publiccryout.net/bookstore. Let's make this interactive. I call this game, Is This a Violation? I'll give you a real life situation. You think about it. Then I'll break it down. A student is suspended for 10 days without a hearing or any written reason. Is that legal? Nope. That's a violation. Even schools have to follow basic due process. A hospital gives a conscious adult a treatment she refused. Violation? Yes. That's a bodily liberty issue, protected under substantive due process. You're fired from your state job after someone files a complaint, but you were never told what the complaint said or who filed it. Again, violation. You're entitled to notice and a chance to respond. This happens every day, and if you can spot it, you can stop it. I created a workbook to go with this game. You can play it at home, in court prep, or with your community. Grab it right now at publiccryout.net/bookstore. That's publiccryout.net/bookstore. Here's what I need you to take away today. You have rights, not suggestions, not favors, rights. The government doesn't get to touch your life without steps. And even if they follow the steps, they don't get to take away your soul. Due process is the line between justice and control. And once you know how to name it, how to stand on it, you are no longer manageable. They can't silence you if you know how to speak the law. They can't erase you if you demand to be seen. If you're ready to stop hoping for mercy and start building your shield, go now to publiccryout.net, your bookstore. That's your toolbox, your armor, your declaration of, I'm not going quietly. I'm Sophia Etienne, and this is Lawfully Loud. I don't have a degree. I don't have a title. I have my story, and I have my rights, and now you do too. Truth is louder than tyranny, and due process is your microphone. Use it. publiccryout.net bookstore.